At the heart of liberty is the right to define one's own concept of existence, of meaning, of the universe, and of the mystery of human life. That's at the heart of the sexual revolution, isn't it, as well?
Yes. But let's be perfectly honest here. Do you mean I have the right, Chief Justice? I have the right? You mean little old me has the right? No, of course not. What you're saying is that the rich and powerful have the right to define it. And if you want to go along with them with your sexual perversions, that's fine. So what you have here is narcissism, so that you have the illusion of power, but the reality of control. That is the genius behind this decision. And that's precisely what happens when anyone acts on any type of principle of sexual liberation. You cannot liberate yourself from the moral law. That's impossible, because the moral law is practical reason. If you liberate yourself from reason, you're a slave, because reason is the only thing that allows you to be free. This is the type of sleight of hand. Now, whether Kennedy knows that or whether he's just stupid and repeating something that people in those circles say is something I don't know. But it's clearly a cynical ploy that we all had to find out the hard way. Americans had to find out the hard way because, we have the right to define anything. I mean, we're like God, except as soon as you say something the Google doesn't like, hey, you get deplatformed. Well, wait a minute. What about my right to define reality as it existed? Didn't Google get the memo here?
If you see liberty as just license to do whatever you want, rather than the freedom to pursue what is objectively good for you, then you reach those kind of dead ends. And
right.
Yet people don't seem able to see it. There's a famous definition of the 8 daughters of lust in Aquinas. He defines lust as disordered sexual desire, and then explains that chief among its effects is a blindness of mind. So the more pleasure you take in a disordered desire, the less you are able to even see that it is disordered.
He said at one point, you become like the lion. All the lion can see is the prey. You become so focused on your desire that's it. Well, you know what happens when you do that? You run into a trap. It's easy to trap beasts because they are blinded and they're so focused that they don't see the big picture. I've done a number of podcasts with a black guy from South Bend, Mario Sims, who was he tells me now that's exactly what happened to him. He was he was a mover and shaker in South Bend. He was going to challenge the Democratic Party to become mayor. He had a good chance, but he was also sleeping with a lot of different women, and he was blinded by lust. And guess what? He ran right into a trap, and the politicians trapped him. They put him on trial. They sent him to prison for 13 years because for a trumped-up charge, and he ran into that trap because he was blinded by his lust, and he'll tell you that himself today. And so he's in prison, and he's saying, Lord, why did you do this to me? I was innocent. And then the Lord said, yeah, maybe that, but you did a lot of other bad things, and you're going to sit here until I let you go. And that's exactly what happened. So it was an example of where God took evil and turned it into good and brought about the reform of Mario Sims. But he'll tell you to this day, it was a trap. And because you were blinded by lust, you didn't see it and you ran into it.